It's just support, Tom!
We're hopping into game already because these players are ready before even I was. So we have Brandon Chen over on the left-hand side on the Orzhov Greasefang list. We saw him earlier in round number 1 going up against Akira over on the right-hand side. Akira is playing his tried and true beloved Izzet Phoenix deck. We get another showdown of this Izzet Phoenix list. Cori-Steel Cutters and all going up against a Orzhov Greasefang list, which also is going to be doing some self-discard shenanigans. So we'll see which deck discards harder than the other ones. We do see that the players have basically started off already. We had a Parhellion hit the battlefield. We have a Seasoned Hollowblade and a Guardian of New Benalia for Brandon over there. So he's already got a bunch of his pieces on the battlefield. Akira, on the flip side, though, has Artist Talent as well as a Picklock Prankster on an adventure. That one has been free the Fade already. And it looks like Brandon has discarded that Parhellion, but that Greasefang still yet to come. Looks like Akira is going to be chaining some spells together, though. Get some Artist Talent discard draws going on in addition to our Ops and Considers. Akira potentially keeping them on the battlefield just to showcase how many spells were cast this turn so far as he pulls down a pathway on red, the Lava Glide side. And maybe thinking about popping off one of these treasure cruises, but that looks like it will exile all 7 cards in graveyard to do so. Just torching the tower here. Now, of course, we can get this Seasoned Hollowblade to be indestructible, and we are going to do so by discarding this Fatal Push. And that will bring back the Phoenix that Akira had lurking in the graveyard over there. So that's going to swing across and hit Brandon down to 17. It's a lot of spells for 3 damage. And now a Sheltered by Ghost just going to quickly deal with that one from Akira's side. And Ivy, unfortunately, is going to go the way of the Dodo Bird, not the Phoenix.
Using removal spell as fog.
Kira doesn't have any response to that one, so goodbye Phoenix, basically forever. But Cori-Steel Cutter now is going to hit the battlefield. Brandon did actually swing on in here in addition to that, but did we not wind up gaining life off of that? It looks like Kira actually only wound up taking 2. May have had to tap it to make it indestructible in response. I may have missed that spell for a second. A Cori-Steel Cutter and an Op, that's going to bring across a Monk token. So, you know, once again, the Phoenix deck is kind of humming and doing the Phoenix deck thing. Artist Talent continues to churn through Akira's deck, doing the discard draw effect. Looks like we have Choo Choo being discarded here, and Momo, the other Phoenix in Akira's hand. Akira naming all of his Phoenixes after, I think it was his cats, if I recall correctly. So each one of them is a bit of a personal touch. Looks like we are just going to swing with that Monk token. It was a 3-3, so Brandon goes down to 14 before the turn gets passed back to him. We are going to have on upkeep, it looks like, or maybe this is just before attacks. Lightning Axe is going to discard Phoenix. We're going to have a pathway discarded to this Artist Talent. Oh, Akira forgot about the ward coming out from Sheltered by Ghost. So he gets the Phoenix into the graveyard, but he doesn't get Brandon to tap down his Seasoned Hollowblade. So that's going to put 4 extra HP on Brandon's side and put Akira down 6 more to 7. All right, so we know there was a Phoenix that got binned. There's a Phoenix in hand. He could probably bin that one off of the actual Artist Talent that he has. And with a Monk token, that's going to be a bunch of potential stuff. Looks like we are going to wind up paying the ward to bounce with Into the Flood Maw. Put that Seasoned Hollowblade back in Brandon's hand. That Shelter by Ghost should be gone. But we'll get Ivy back, and we did have an extra land, so we now have a Consider. That should not only make another Monk token, but is that the 3rd spell for the turn? Does that mean that we're getting 2 Phoenixes back? There's Momo, there's Choo Choo. We did have to shock in, however, so Akira is down to 5, so this is dangerous territory. But we are swinging in with everybody. So if my calculations are correct, there should be 4 plus 1 from the 4 plus 3 from the monks is 7, and then 9 from the phoenixes would be 16. So just seemingly out of nowhere, Brandon could be facing Golding all the way down to 2, but Akira very wisely keeping back some blockers. There is still this Guardian of New Benalia, and a Monument to Endurance with a discard could just spell lethal for Akira, considering Brandon could do it twice. All right, end step, we are going to get a Fatal Push, since that was triggered from forever before with the Revolt. We took 8 damage altogether, sheltered by Ghost. A second one has hit the battlefield. That puts Akira down to 2 with this swing, and Brandon buffers his life total by 3. This is going to be a bit of a nail-biter, though. Looks like Picklock Pranksters Free the Fae is going to start things off. We mill 4. That finds another Picklock Prankster, and it finds a Fiery Impulse that we can hit off of that. This is going to buff up 2 spells, and I think there's an Opt in Akira's hand as well, so that's going to make another Monk token. One of the Phoenixes is in the graveyard. These monks currently are 3/3s, and then a 2/2. So that's 6. All right, and then we're going to wind up getting a... Oh, multiple spells just triggering all over the place. I think that's additional 2 prowess tokens. We get the prowess triggers. We get the Phoenixes back. I think Brandon's facing down pretty dead, is what it looks like.
So 4.
Fortunately, the players have not been keeping track of the prowess triggers, but I believe that's 4 altogether. So yeah, this is definitely more than 13, and Brandon just showing the hand of things that he can't really deal with that many tokens and prowess triggers with Akira, even though he was facing down 2, and even though he forgot to pay ward for one of his removal spells, is still able to take game number 1, just showcasing the amount of spell-slinging power that Cori-Steel Cutter brings to this Phoenix deck. All right, so now both of these players are probably going to be bringing in things that will be able to deal with the opposing artifacts or things that are going to be hitting the battlefield from either side. One of the things that you may have to consider for both of these players is the fact that Akira can bring in Abrades to deal with a Monument to Endurance, which is going to be quite effective, whereas Brandon, if he has any additional Sheltered by Ghost or effects like that that can exile, such as Exercise, those may be things that Brandon wants to go after from his sideboard as well. That will be able to not only remove things like Cori-Steel Cutter if it's resolved on the battlefield, but it's also going to be able to deal with any Artist Talents, since you can hit non-land permanents with Sheltered by Ghost, and Exercise will exile Artist Talents. It could also just be things like just normal disenchants, since those would be instant speed as opposed to sorcery speed. Fragmentize is actually only 1 mana that hits 4 or less artifact or enchantment. Pretty much every relevant enchantment outside of some of the overlords that you see played in Pioneer. Same thing with artifacts. Dang, that would even hit like Simulacrum Synthesizer and stuff like that. I'm just over here cooking in my head. Fragmentize, 1 mana white removal spell, kills most important things in the format. Let's go. For both of these players, looking over their sideboards, Akira, like I mentioned, Abrades, got to be thinking you're bringing those in. If they don't kill the Monument to Endurance, then they kill a Greasefang. You can, of course, bounce a bunch of things from their side as well, maybe extra additional into the Flood Maws, and then you're probably not really wanting to have your Spell Pierces and stuff. If you bring in the Braids, you could deal with a Resolve Monument to Endurance. Spell Pierce can deal with it on the stack. 1 mana versus 2 may be a way to determine which way you want to go when Akira is going to be on the draw in game number 2. But we'll have to see if that's where the players wind up. It looks like both players have shuffled up and getting ready for game number 2, as is. Not confusing at all to have basically the same color sleeve with just different mattedness to it. Both players keep 7 though, and Brandon's going to start off with a Concealed Courtyard passing the turn. Mycosynth Garden hits the battlefield. That's going to be very good to copy your Monument to Endurances later on in the game. Did Akira shock? Is that a Steam Vents? Not entirely sure. Players haven't changed their life totals on the iPad, so. Land number 3, Season Hollowblade number 2. Brandon's going to go on the beatdown plan, 17 for Akira. End step, though, we're going to get a Free the Fae from this Picklock Prankster. Sees a sleight of hand, sees a land, sees a Consider, and a Treasure Cruise. Looks like Akira, though, doesn't want the Treasure Cruise, indicative of maybe having one in hand, but it looks like instead we have Cori-Steel Cutter and then some. So Cori-Steel Cutter and this Consider going to make us a Monk token, and we'll see if Akira wants to swing in for 2 and try to trample over. That looks like the plan.
5.
Brandon goes down to 18, double checking the cards in Akira's hand. Says 5. Looks like Monument was drawn for the turn, so Brandon now has a thing to consider. Do you throw down your Monument and start going to town with your discard outlets, or do you Sheltered by Ghosts and get rid of the Cori-Steel Cutter? Go Blank comes in from the sideboard for Brandon. Hell of a card in this matchup, as it not only forces Akira to get rid of cards that he has in hand, but will also exile the graveyard. So pretty heads-up play for Akira to not take that Treasure Cruise after all. But on the back of this Go Blank, which could potentially be back-breaking, Akira also takes 6 just from these 3-1s swinging in at his face. All right, a Braid is going to be taken here. Akira already smelling the Monument to Endurance that we know Brandon has in hand. We're going to see Opt following up after this Free the Fae. That's going to get us an additional Monk token. We got a 3-3, we got a 2-2, and we are going to Lightning Axe, discarding a Phoenix. That's going to get us to discard a Fleeting Spirit, so that's going to give it Indestructible. And Akira's getting aggressive here. Ooh, boy. This is dangerous, because I think Brandon can just slam Monument and kill Akira here with attacks. It would be 6 damage, play the Monument, discard a card, drain him for 3 life. That's 9. And then upkeep, do it again. Yeah, Akira knows he messed up there. He took the Abrade, and then he played around Brandon not having the Monument, and the Greasefang deck just does the thing without Greasefang. Plays the Monument to Endurance, gets rid of a couple cards in hand, and swings in with 6 power of creatures, which are also its repeatable discard outlet, which is a pretty powerful clock, as we saw there. That is not what I wanted to do, unfortunately. Apologies for that. I was trying to re-up our players' life totals.
I didn't pick up the Treasure Cruise.
And now I've gone a little bit too far.
I didn't have a Treasure
All right,
Cruise.
that's what we wanted to look at here. So Brandon's going to be taking that game off the back of Monument to Endurance, which is basically this Greasefang deck. You think it's the fallback plan, but when you look at a lot of these Orzhov Greasefang lists, in addition to maybe 1 or 2 Crypt Caller Chariots, it might not even be in the main deck. You just have Greasefang and Parhellion. The rest of the deck is really relying on these discard outlets to end the Monument to Endurance and Mycosynth Garden. Now, the Mycosynth Garden can you tap X and turn it into an artifact with mana cost X or less. And Brendan had that on the battlefield too, so even if Akira didn't die that turn, he was going to potentially just mess him up there if there wasn't an answer. We knew Akira had the Abrade in hand, however. Both these players, though, sideboards are basically all done already, so they're just going as fast as possible here. We're going to have Akira starting off with a sleight of hand and then following it up with a Consider after the season Hollowblade hits the battlefield for Brandon. Opt being played end of turn as well from Akira. Scratches to the bottom, draws a card. Looks like Into the Flood Maw was the draw there. Both these players playing lickety-split here, like they are close to time, but this is game number 3 in the match, and I want to say that we've only been about maybe 15 minutes total into this round. Both of these decks, though, have the potential to go pretty fast. Maybe fans of Sonic the Hedgehog. Monument to Endurance does wind up hitting the battlefield, and Akira's going to respond with a Free the Fae. Let's see if he sees a sort of Spell Pierce type effect. Nope, decides to take the sleight of hand. Didn't see any of that. Monument is going to hit the battlefield. This is the engine of the Greasefang deck. Vroom vroom, pun on Aether Drift there. We're discarding a Fleeting Spirit, and that's going to trigger one of these modes of Monument to Endurance. It's going to draw a card for Brandon. We see him with that Cyborg Go Blank in hand. Could be very powerful. However, Akira's looking like he might want to utilize the graveyard this turn. 6 cards, I think, in the graveyard here. So if there is a Treasure Cruise in hand, that could be cast for just 1 after this sleight of hand. Cori-Steel Cutter was the draw. A little bit awkward, unfortunately, since that would be the second card of Akira's turn. Looks like Torch the Tower and a Crackling Drake in hand. So Akira brought in some bigger beaters from his sideboard for this matchup. We did wind up missing the Seasoned Hollowblade swinging in last turn as well. So Akira, actually, with this attack here, is going to be falling to 14. Brandon opting to not use his Monument to Endurance on Akira's turn. And it looks like here is that Crypt Caller Chariot. This is a card that I thought a lot of Greasefang decks were going to love coming out of Aether Drift, and they still love it. It's just that they liked Monument to Endurance a little bit more. A 5/5 Menace. This is basically the replacement for a Seeker's Chariot in decks that don't want to add the green. And whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create that many tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So you're going to wind up getting a 2/2 every single time you activate your Monument to Endurance. So we see here, discarding Shelter by Ghost. That is going to, what did Brandon want to do with that? I think he's creating a treasure token. Oh, it creates a tap zombie. And he's assigned to draw a card. We do have zombie tokens, I just did not think to put them out. End step Akira does nothing, though. Had 3 untapped mana, if I recall correctly, but now we know there's a Cori-Steel Cutter in hand, there's a Crackling Drake as well, and it looks like, I think it was a Fire Impulse and something else. All right, so Cori-Steel Cutter into Cori-Steel Cutter. Unfortunately, that only triggers the first one that he plays. All right, looks like Lightning Axe, Arclight Phoenix, Torch the Tower. So Brandon cruised this Crypt Caller Chariot. Looks like that Lightning Axe is going to go that way. Go blank. This is going to be devastating for Akira. Potentially thinking about getting rid of this Lightning Axe and the Phoenix. The Phoenix looks a lot less appealing if you don't have the Lightning Axe next to it, but the other ones are Torch the Tower and Crackling Drake, which is the sideboard threat.
Do this. Thinking.
Akira looks like he wants to cast the Lightning Axe. If Akira casts this, he's going to lose his whole hand. And then the Phoenix will get exiled anyway. Is Akira trying to find a way to double spell this turn and then create a monk token?
Actually, I think, like, I would kill the Storm off.
Both players are very friendly with one another, help each other out for testing for RCQs and stuff like that. So it looks like they're considering which one should I actually go after in this case. And Brandon offering his friendly advice to Akira.
Because you have to create this card. Oh.
Looks like he is going to be...
This is responding to go blank.
Yeah,
I
this
can't
is
do
go
it.
blank.
No,
Looks like he is
this to go blank.
going to be targeting the Seasoned Hollowblade. Oh, no. Akira just decided those are the 2 cards I'm going to discard to go blank. Okay, so after a consideration of should I cast this or not, Akira decides not.
Discard Seasoned Hollowblade, make a treasure.
Yep.
All right, Brandon's going to get a treasure and a tap zombie.
Yep. Take 5.
Giving this Seasoned Hollowblade indestructible as it gets blocked by the monk token. Looks like the Crypt Caller's Chariot does come across, deals 5 to Akira, and Brandon forgets that the Crypt Caller Chariot should have triggered there as well and created an additional zombie. All right, so how does Akira win now with an Opt, a Crackling Drake, and a Torch the Tower? He starts with Crackling Drake and draws a card.
I found the land, but it come in tab.
Do you have 2 mana? Give it. Oh, equip it. Give it haste.
2 mana, give it haste.
I don't think you kill me. So.
I don't think I do.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, they're counting up the cards to see how many cards Crackling Drake would actually be in power. It looks like it's only 6, so Akira was not threatening lethal there. Decides to go for Opt over getting rid of one of these tokens on the battlefield. Okay, Brandon did actually make the second zombie there. It was just verbally acknowledged and was not represented on the battlefield until much later.
Shelter.
Oh, Brandon has the Shelter by Ghosts as well, and
I
he's
knew you
going
had
to
a
basically
Shelter
play
in hand.
everything else in
I
his hand
can't
here,
count this card.
and Brandon is going to
trying to, like,
clean
set up
this
a-
one up. The Greasefang deck
Yeah,
that time
the-
around
the-
looked like it had all of the permanents
basically
on the
go
side
blank
of the
removing,
battlefield
like,
and
half
not
your
the
hand
Phoenix
was, like-
deck. That one is going
Well,
to
you
be
had
the
nothing.
superior
No, I had
discard
nothing.
matters
One
deck
thing,
as
like,
Brandon
just
Chen
feel
is
bad
going
right
to
there.
advance to
Because
3-0
maybe I should
on
have
Super
discarded
Pioneer
the
Tuesday.
cards.